Hey, hey, Blue Table fans. Yeah, you can come on through. It's all good. Here he comes. All right. And my 13-year-old son just went by. By the way, he's painting up his own Tyranids. Just doing it. And I think he's close.
I'm basically done.
You're basically done. And by the way, this was about, gonna say at least 150 models. Right? Maybe coming up on 200.
Yeah, 187.
Yes, that's right. He just did it. Converted a bunch of stuff, found it from bits in the web store. Just did. How many Hive Tyrants did you end up making?
Including Swarmlord, 3.
Yeah. 3, okay. Oh, there you go. Right, only 3.
Only
yeah.
3.
And yeah, he's doing good. Fantastic. Makes me proud. Super happy. Spending a lot of time with my teenage sons. So guys, warning, this video contains spoilers for an old Dungeons & Dragons module called Tomb of Horrors, and that's what I'd like to talk about first. I've been watching some playthroughs online, and I'm going to, one is by a guy named Kitten Hugs, I think Rick or Rob, Kitten Hugs. I'm gonna send you a link because, quite frankly, and he has a Patreon, but you know, it's pretty modest, and quite frankly, I think people should pay him to run them through online adventures. Like, his technical game is really good, and I think it was awesome. So anyway, Tomb of Horrors came out in, I do believe it is 1979, something like that. So there it is. Now this isn't the first version of this. There's another one with even more terrible art on it, which I have. I didn't get it out. So, Tomb of Horrors, characters levels 10 through 14, which I think is as high as it went at the time. And if you read the introduction to this, Gary Gygax wrote this as sort of a humbling experience for his more advanced players. And it's renowned as like this killer dungeon. And of course I've read through it many times. I used to have like nightmares about it or dreams about it, that I was in it. You know, I was like, all right, how did this trap work? I gotta like not get blown up here. So anyway, so I've been, when it came out, a friend of mine told me about it. He was like, you know, Sean, if you play it well, you can just go through this, and you know, you can use your wits to defeat it. And I'm like, I'm up for it. Solo. I made up a ranger. Should have made up a magic user, by the way. Ranger, and I blew myself up like right off. I didn't make it very far. Like I got blown up by the most pathetic thing in there, and it was pretty bad. So I can't talk because I'm watching these people go through it. And I was like, oh, come on. And then I was like, no, Sean, do remember that you yourself didn't do so great at it. And oh yeah, that's weird. I'm like, what is this light? I thought it was like a piece of paper back here. No, it's all the Age of Sigmar books. Oh, and by the way, their quality is like really going up. Check this out. So this is the 2 different kinds. So like the production value on the new ones is like amazing. All the same size though, which is nice. Although they didn't make hard covers of all of them, which I really would have preferred. It's inconsistency. That really bothers obsessive compulsives like me. Am I obsessive compulsive? Obsessive compulsive, obsessive compulsive, obsessive compulsive. Yes, thank you. All right, so anyway, so I watched this, it was 7 hours of like this YouTube series, and the whole thing, it was grueling. And in fact, with Tomb of Horrors, the real challenge is to the players themselves. It's an endurance test, a mental, like there's mental endurance involved to not just kind of kill yourself at the end out of sort of the crushing, I'm going to say boredom of having to like grind away at this module. So anyway, and I've taken 3 groups through it, and one of the groups that I remember the best was 2 of my friends came to me. They're like, Sean, we don't know anything about this. We've just heard about it. We want you to run us through. We want to take our established characters. They had run these characters literally for years. And we want no tag backs. If we die, these characters are permanently dead. We want the challenge. We want bragging rights for doing this. And I was like, all right, but I'm going to run it straight up. And they did it. And you know how they did it? They took the dungeon 10 foot, they treated each encounter area, each 10-foot square as an encounter area by itself. And they ground it out. Like they had a procedure for each 10-foot square of figuring out what was happening. And that's how people kill themselves in this or any other dungeon, is they're like, oh, we're in a room. Great, now we're in this room. Let's all start running around inside the room and doing things. And no. And Gary Gygax was a genius for making this. I mean, this is good stuff. So basically, so again, spoilers. So if you're ever going to run through this, you should just stop right now, because there's nothing in the rest of this video that's really that exciting. All right, so in the first encounter area, you come up against this, right? And the mouth is a fixed sphere of annihilation, meaning if you jump in it, you're just dead. You're just disintegrated wretchedly forever, no recovery. There's no save, you just jumped into a black hole. And that's what I did when I played it. I'm like, all right, well, this must be the teleportation thing to the next area. Now, the group I watched on YouTube go through it, they take a pole, they stick it in, they pull it back out, they see that it's been severed completely cleanly, and they're like, oh, let's not jump in that. And that's how a lot of this module is. Like I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, all you have to do is pay attention. And I read through it like meticulously, and there's 33 encounter areas, and in 8 of them there's things that kill you instantaneously, no saving throw, like you're just dead because that happened to you. However, in 5 of those 8 things, there's something obvious to like not do that thing, or there's like a basic precaution, or there's some kind of little bit of advanced warning where, you know, you shouldn't do that. But in 3 of them, you can kind of just accidentally stumble on it. But again, that's because you're doing blind experimentation. Like so much in this could be, could be just avoided by just good common sense, good dungeoneering practices and precautions. So, Tomb of Horrors, you really should try. Of course, I spoiled one giant thing for you. So, and that's kind of famous. That's like an iconic, that was in Ready Player One. It's like on the side of the van. So anyway, all right, I'm running my kids, even my 9-year-old girl, through this White Plume Mountain. Now, I always loved this and thought it was the most clever and awesome thing ever, but as it turns out, it's just a disjointed funhouse dungeon. But in the old modules, it was a dungeon master's job to include detail, to flesh things out, to make things up as you went along. And I've noticed that because I follow various Pathfinder forums on Facebook or pages, and I frequently hear, hey, I'm having a hard time challenging my party. What can I do? And I'm like, are you joking? This is a joke, right? Because you're all powerful. I'm like, have 1,000 orcs show up and see what they do, just throw whatever at them. But the thing is, in 3.5, yeah?
The main reason why they ask that, and the reason why you shouldn't, throw 1,000 orcs at them and stuff like that, is because it's a little bit redundant, and it's just like, oh, okay, the DM is just uncreative.
Oh, okay.
That's
By
what some
making
people
it
assume.
too hard. Well, and you're absolutely right. Thank you, Griffin. And by the way, I love it. I love it that he has an opinion on the matter. Awesome. Ah, my kids are such nerds. All right. So anyway, let's put those modules back. And anyway, so what was I even talking about? It's because in 3.5, with the advent of challenge rating, this idea that somehow it would be fair, it turned it into a board game. And that's what Pathfinder did. Pathfinder really cemented Dungeons and Dragons not into a storytelling game, but into a board game. And I'm all for that. I love miniatures. I love board games. I love miniatures battles game. So that all fit with me. But it became all too clear when I was running an online group using Roll D20, by the way. That's a pretty good program. I've heard Fantasy Grounds is pretty good. So, but they were used to things being run by the book. And there is a great challenge to that. Like, hey, just run it officially and, let's see how we do. And so there's a sense of accomplishment, too. But I'm old school. I'm a Gygaxian dungeon master where there's a little warning at the beginning that you are welcome. The foolhardy will surely throw their lives away. And more of a storytelling thing. But I become more of a well-rounded dungeon master. I fused various styles, I think, very well. All right, well, I'm getting into 2 vids now, so I want to thank you for tuning in. Also, I'm booking projects for July, still some slots open for July, and definitely for August. So if you see these huge armies coming through, and you're like, wow, I want my dream army done, I'm ready for that. Let's book it. Let's set it up. All right. And away we go.